You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Now get set again.
Welcome to Opinion Nation.
And we stand today on the edge of a new frontier.
There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America.
What makes us Americans is our shared commitment to an ideal that all of us are created equal.
I, too, am America.
Now here's your host, Bryce Robbins.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bryce Robbins, your host, and this is Opinion Nation. We have a lot to talk about because since I've been gone for a week or two, we have seen a lot of crazy things happen. We've seen that Bernie Sanders is, well, unfortunately looking down for the count. But I'll talk about that later. Because I think Bernie actually still, is doing what Bernie does best. And I don't think, while he was out for the win, maybe, just maybe, he can still accomplish his mission. And I'll talk about that. There's a difference between mission and winning. But first, I want to talk about the topic that we were previously talking about on the show, Finding Common Ground. Ted Cruz. I am going to turn my focus on this guy for the next couple weeks. Just have a little session with Ted. Go over some of the crazy shit that this man says. So first off, I'm going to play you this clip.
And Donald on television this morning said, gosh, he thought
that men should be able to go into the girls' bathroom if they want to. Now let me ask you, have we gone stark raving nuts? This is the political correctness. This is basic common sense. Let me ask you, are there any parents and daughters? I'm the father of 2 little girls. Here is basic...
Yes, America, we are going crazy. We have a person running for president who believes that it is insane to allow someone who's transgender to go into the bathroom of their choice, which in all reality is nuts and should not have a place in our society. Because here's the fact of the matter. No, we are not discriminating against people who don't believe in it. It's just that this is basic human decency in the 21st century. And don't give me the crap, oh, it used to not be like this. Because people perhaps were repressed. And now they are allowed to, get out their, feelings, their inside, and they're allowed to express how they want to be. So I actually am surprised because Caitlyn Jenner, somebody who is not a very good representative for the trans community, actually got to use one of Donald Trump's bathrooms, and it's quite interesting because here's the thing. She actually was a Ted Cruz supporter. She said that she would use Ted Cruz, she would be Ted Cruz's, trans ambassador? A funky term, but she actually got to go in to Trump International Hotel and Tower and use the bathroom. So I'm going to play that clip for you now.
Oh my God, a trans woman in New York. I got to take a pee. Anyway, oh my God, Trump International Hotel. I love this. Okay, last week Donald Trump said I could take a pee anywhere in a Trump facility, so I am going to go take a pee in the ladies' room.
Looks like a woman, by the way. From the behind, it could not. I would tap her on the shoulder and say, "Miss," but that's just me.
Ladies' room. That way. Thank you. And not anymore.
Here's the best part.
And by the way, Ted, nobody got molested.
That's the problem. Is that the argument is that, and as Ted Cruz put it out, I have 2 little daughters. It's about, for them, safety and protection of people in the bathroom. Making them feel comfortable in the bathroom. The problem is that, you want to feel comfortable in the bathroom. What if a fully transgender man walked into your woman's bathroom? A woman who became a man walked into the bathroom. Facial hair, muscles, and everything. They had a vagina. Now they have to use the bathroom with you? Ultimately, what we're going to see is that you're going to see more manly men. By allowing people to go to the bathroom with the sex that they prefer, you will notice, I can guarantee you, we will keep bathrooms more separated between genders or looks than opposed to making you go to the bathroom with what you were born with, because now we're going to have men or male-looking people going into the female bathroom. But that's just my point of view. Ultimately, I want to bring it back to one key point here. Hank Greenberg was a phenomenal baseball player for the Detroit Tigers. And he was among the first Jewish players in baseball. He was actually the first known out Jewish baseball player. There's theories that there were more before him, but besides the point. Anyways, I forget where he was staying, but he was staying in a hotel, and they said, no, you can't stay here. You're going to stay down the block because we don't want to serve a Jew here. Okay. So the Detroit Tigers refused their business and protested and left. Why? Because the hotel decided to discriminate against Hank Greenberg for something that he was born with, his religion. So there was a business protest by the team. Fair. Denied them the business. What is the difference between that and Bruce Springsteen saying, I'm not going to perform in California because you're discriminating against other people? Now, to say that, oh, well, then why can't people of religion discriminate against gay weddings and whatnot? It's not the same. Because in one, you're discriminating against a group because of something that they were born with, something they didn't choose. Do you think transgender people choose to be transgender? That they choose to have all these, mental conflictions with their body and their mind? Absolutely not. And if you are a pervert who wants to go watch, a little girl, Ted Cruz's daughter, in the bathroom, well, then you're probably sick enough to do it anyways. I want to actually move on to some different topics, talk about some more fun things in the news. I actually want to play a clip from Jimmy Kimmel, who's explaining what a real pervert is like. He's actually talking about former Republican, Republican, Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert, who, well, this is what a pervert is. But I'll let Jimmy explain.
What's going on with Dennis Hastert? This story, for some reason, is not a big story, but Dennis Hastert, the former Speaker of the House, he was sentenced to 15 months of prison today for bank fraud, which he committed in order to pay hush money to a man he molested when the man was a teenage boy. He was the wrestling coach, and there were a number of boys. The judge today called him a serial child molester. The guy was Speaker of the House. From 1999 to 2007, he was Speaker of the House, during which time he called on lawmakers to, quote, put repeat child molesters into jail for the rest of their lives. Today, he got 15 months for that. He also is the guy who led the impeachment of Bill Clinton over the Monica Lewinsky scandal, presumably because it was consensual sex with an adult woman. And I think there should be a rule that any time a politician pontificates about someone else's private life, a squad of investigators is immediately sent to his house to investigate what he is up to, because they always...
All right, so, yeah, isn't that just irony? We're talking about a Republican Speaker of the House who literally molested a teenager, and reportedly more, who actually had a lounge chair facing the boys' shower room. I mean, this guy was a gym teacher or a wrestling coach. And this is sick shit we're talking about here. And the fact of the matter is, he's got 15 months for this. There is no statute of limitations on child molestation. But this was actually pointed out on the Daily Show by Trevor Noah. If he had been in a double parked, he could get tried for that, but not for the molestation of the child, because there is a statute of limitations on that, but not on, parking tickets or things of that nature, which boggles my mind. Whatever. Anyways, I want to move on to talk about Bernie now. And Bernie Sanders, well, he might be down for the count here. Bernie lost New York. And that was bad. But I think there was a little bit of voter fraud going on in New York. And that's all I got to say. And the fact that independents can't vote is total disenfranchisement that, is abhorrent. That it's worse than any voter fraud. That is in plain sight. It's disgusting. It disenfranchises millions of people. And what I don't get is... Oh, here comes Rick with the music. Why can't primaries be open for everybody? That way everybody could vote. Everybody gets their opinions heard. Oh, God. I hate Rick. I hate him so much. Playing the music in the background again because I'm talking about Bernie. But the fact of the matter is we pride ourselves in living in a democracy, but we actually do not live in a democracy. We live in an oligarchy, and the people who are in charge...
we live in a constitutional republic.
Well, this constitutional republic, it's not really working. I mean, there is no... the Founding Fathers wanted direct representation of the people. And that's what the House of Representatives was for. The Senate obviously came around, the bicameral, the Great Compromise. But there was still supposed to be direct representation of the people. And there's nothing more basic than picking our desired leader. And that's what it used to be. And I don't really understand why we're starting to settle for this rigged system where, I mean, let's just break it down like this. Donald Trump wins the majority of the electors. He wins the majority of the delegates. He wins the majority of the popular vote. But if he doesn't reach 1237, then all these delegates can be just tossed up in the air and vote for whoever they want. That means all the primaries were meaningless. I mean, how the hell is that possible? We don't even pick our own president. And for whatever reason, that's not an issue. And no, Bernie Sanders does not have the popular vote. So my argument doesn't really stand. But I'm actually talking about Donald Trump now, that he might be in danger of not getting the nomination. But if the people picked him, then the people picked him. So I don't get it. I thought, and what I was always taught, was that we were born in a democracy, that we live in a country of democratic values where we vote, where voting matters. Voting doesn't matter. Why the fuck should I rock the vote if my vote is going to get shit on by some super delegate who's going to end up who I didn't vote for in the first place? That's insane. That is absolutely insane. That is not democracy.
Bitter party of one, your table's waiting. Bitter party of one. Dude, calm down.
No, it's terrible. I am getting so worked up over this because it is undemocratic, and this is not what, we say, soldiers fought and died for your right to vote, fought and died for your liberty, fought and died for your rights. Yeah, they did.
Hang on, and then I'll let you have your show back. But this same process that you're railing against right now is what gave us Abraham Lincoln.
Well, unfortunately, that's not democratic. And yeah,
except if not for Lincoln, we'd probably still have a bunch of slaves running around, and that's the process that brought us Lincoln. So I'm just saying. And honestly, it's working exactly as intended and outlined within the Constitution. So you can't say this wasn't what the Founding Fathers wanted.
I don't know. I think I disagree with you on that one, because I don't recall the Founding Fathers ever setting up a delegate system that would effectively silence the people.
Oh, no. See, you're forgetting the fact that in the Founding Fathers' time, not everyone was even afforded the right to vote. First of all, if you were a slave, you couldn't vote. Second of all, if you weren't a landowner, you couldn't vote, because you had to have a stake in the game to be able to voice your opinion. So everything is working exactly as the Founding Fathers intended. The problem is we have now become a group of instant gratification folks who think that majority should rule, and that was never how this country was intended to be, because majority rule is the same as mob rule, and that's why the system is in place the way it is.
Okay, but the problem here lies that we're supposed to have the consent of the governed. And the consent of the governed means who they vote, who they want to.
No. The system specifically says in order to get the nomination, you must have the majority of the delegates. That means 50 plus 1. The delegate count changes each time the population increases, so the number continually gets higher. But the rule has never changed. The rule has always been 50 plus 1. That's been the rule since the day we were created.
Yes,
it's been the rule ever since, and it's worked up until now.
They didn't have political parties the way we do today.
Bullshit.
They didn't.
Bullshit. General George Washington was the only one that ever said we shouldn't have political parties. There were political parties formed the day after this country was founded, right after he said we shouldn't have done any of those things. There have been political parties since the inception of this country.
When George Washington became president, in his farewell address, it was famous for how we shouldn't have political parties. Now, I disagree with that. I think inherently you are going to have political parties. But, obviously, prior to George Washington...
Just because he said we shouldn't have them doesn't mean we didn't already have them. They just weren't as widely recognized as they are now.
Prior to George Washington's term in office, the political party system was not necessarily in place, and the Constitution was written. So, the system that we have set up today that's totally fucking rigged in favor of you either have to be a Democrat,
which is again the same system that brought us Lincoln, which you tout all the time as the guy that yes, it does matter. You can't have it both ways. You can't laud the system for giving us Lincoln and him freeing the slaves, and then decry the same system that won't elect Trump. Trump is not the majority holder. That is why he runs the risk of not getting the nomination, because he does not hold a majority. There is a plurality within my party, or what used to be my party, because I'm officially not even a Republican anymore, so I don't give a damn what happens to that party, because as far as I'm concerned, it left me a long time ago. At this point, I'm giving you your show back, because I'm not even supposed to be talking as much as you. Go away. I'm going away.
The problem here that lies, and I was already angry before Rick came on, and now I'm getting even more heated. The problem here that lies.
You're welcome.
The fact is that what this delegate system is doing is inherently disenfranchising anybody who wants to run from a different party. If you want to run as an independent, if you want to run as a Green Party, if you want to run as a flying spaghetti monster, you cannot win. There is inherently no solvent way for you to win a big scale election in this country, because the delegate system is so rigged against you. Look at Bernie Sanders. The delegates were against him from the fucking start. In New York, tell me how this fucking makes sense. That prior to any votes being counted, Hillary Clinton had a 34-point lead. That makes no sense. The people didn't give their consent yet, which is what pisses me off. That if you don't have the consent of the governed yet, how do you have a lead? Perfect example. I recently posted on my Facebook just a funny post, but a sad reality. I wanted for lunch to get pizza. I being 1. My friends being 7 wanted all to get sushi. It was then I utilized my superdelegates. Lo and behold, we got pizza. I don't give a fuck. The people want sushi. Let them get it. We are living in a society, and I don't know why we accept it. And this is exactly what Bernie Sanders talks about. A political revolution that ultimately moves the people, that changes the way we live. Just because the Founding Fathers created a system way back when doesn't necessarily mean it's the same way now. And the straw man argument that, well, this brought us Lincoln, that doesn't mean shit. Yes, great. Lincoln was our president. I'm glad. Slavery, I'm not going to give this argument. I really don't care to. Yes, it's great that Lincoln was our president. He was a great president. Slavery may or may not have ended without him, or at the same time. I don't really know, and I'm not going to get into that argument. The fact is, times have changed. The population has changed. And our way of governing should, in a sense, change, because this delegate system has become so perverted. The delegates used to be the members of Congress, okay? And they would vote on their constituency, and if their constituency, which was a small constituency, didn't have an opinion, I guess then they could, give their vote. But the fact that you can just go to a convention and change your vote, what the fuck was the point of the primary in the first place? Look at Vermont. All right? Ready? In Vermont, we have I forget the fucking name of the guy, the senator, but he's a superdelegate. And despite Bernie Sanders winning 70% of the vote, he is aligning himself with Hillary Clinton. Now, how the hell does that make sense? Now, Whew. Let's get into the next one. You want to go back even further? Fine. Only because Rick brought it up. He brought it up over a message. Al Gore. Okay? Yeah. Al Gore should have been president. Because the nincompoop asshole George Bush, who has an IQ of 5, literally a functionally retarded human being, was the president of this country for 8 years. Why? Because he didn't win the first time. And Daddy Bush, who appointed all these Supreme Court judges, decided, oh, it's up to the court to decide who's president. Actually, asshole, the Congress should decide that. The House of Representatives should decide that. But that's besides the point. Now, we are talking about such corruption when it comes to the 2000 election where people punched out the holes, but they're a hanging tag, so you know what? That actually counted for George W. Bush, or it didn't even count at all. A voter disenfranchisement, okay? Look, I'm going to go to break. I'm going to cool down, and we're going to get into another topic. But here's the issue. In this country, we pride ourselves on democracy, on freedom, on the will of the people. But at the end of the day, that's not being met. It's who can the higher-ups get to run the country in their interest, not in the interest of the people. Democracy? Not a thing in our country. It's who do the elites pick? And that's the problem. I'm Bryce Robbins. This is Opinion Nation. I'll be back right after this break.
Welcome to Opinion Nation.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Now get set again.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
Okay.
Hey, Genius, you're still typing in your life.
Oh, I'm live. Hello, everybody. Okay, first of all, I got a little carried away there with my remarks about.
So hang on a second. I have to point this out. The guy that just called a former sitting president of the United States functionally retarded missed his own intro.
Yeah, I did. I would like to apologize to Bush 43. That was a harsh statement to make. I apologize. I'm just frustrated with the voting system. That is all. Okay, moving on. No. Well, I have lost for thoughts here, but that's besides the point. Anyways, okay, anyways, moving on. I would actually like to talk about the Trans-Pacific Partnership next, because that's something I haven't really covered in a while, and I've really been itching to talk about it, and kind of how free trade just sucks ass in general, and that is something that George Bush created, but became a behemoth, and Obama, for some reason, is willfully signing on to it. So to make up for my comments on George Bush, I will trash Obama. Fair? Fair. Okay, we all agree. Good, let's move on. So, the Trans-Pacific Partnership actually started out between three countries. It was originally called the P3. It became the P4 when the U.S. signed on under George Bush. And then the United States was going to be the main financer of it. But today, we are seeing that fast track has passed, and it's looking like the TPP is ever more, glooming over us that it's going to pass. And if the mainstream media won't tell you this, then I feel like it's my job too, because clearly we have a very nice audience. So, it's important to talk about these things. And the fact that wages are going to suffer. The fact that people's employment is going to be terminated because foolish trade agreements like the TPP. I mean, for example, wages are going to drop dramatically. And I'm going to give you the example of NAFTA. NAFTA fucking sucked, okay? NAFTA kicked American jobs in the asshole. And we lost 700,000 jobs as a result of it. We cannot live in a country that's continuously looking for the best deal when it comes to production. Because that best deal hurts us, and it's not the best deal. It's the best deal for the higher-ups, the corporate, billionaire and millionaire class, not for the average American. So, let's actually dive into this a little bit. The TPP is going to make up 40% of the global economy. Okay, it's made up of 12 countries: Australia, Bernie, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, and the United States, and Vietnam. And it was signed in secret. Keep that in mind, everybody. The TPP was signed in secret. I mean, for God's sakes, our senators couldn't even read it before they decided whether or not to pass it or sign away the fast-track agreement. So, I want to actually give you a little quotation here. This is from the President's annual report on trade agreements. And it says, quote, U.S. participation in the TPP could position the U.S. businesses to better compete in the Asian-Pacific region, which is seeing the proliferation of blah, 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 then it's important, blah, blah, blah. We're looking at the first part here. This is helping, this is essentially, allowing the U.S. businesses to get a foothold in the Pacific. Not good. Because what is it going to do? It's going to hurt our country. Wayne Gretzky, once claimed that he did not go towards the puck. He went towards where the puck was going to be. The United States is pivoting to Asia in an attempt to move to where the puck or the economic growth of the future is going to be. And while the TPP sounds wonderful, it's simply not. Look at the free trade agreements we've signed away. NAFTA, 700,000 jobs moved south of the border. In the permanent normal trade relations with China, we've lost 2.7 million jobs. With the free trade agreement with Korea, we lost 70,000 jobs. Here's the problem. And this is according to the Economic Policy Institute. If we sign the TPP, we will lose an additional 130,000 jobs to Vietnam and Japan alone. But that doesn't account for all the countries. The service jobs that could be lost at a time when corporations have already outsourced about 3 million jobs could go through the roof. We need to hold down and bunker down American jobs and American labor. Here's one thing that Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders agree on. Tariffs are an effective tool to keep jobs within America. But we also need to make America competitive again. And what that means is continue to press forward in new sources of science, new sources of technology. Utilize 3D printing, utilize robotics, utilize automation. Because the free market will generate jobs. We cannot deny this. It's just simple. We don't keep toll booth operators. Why? Because we don't need them. We could use EasyPass or whatever your state uses. All right. But here's the main crux that I want to get to. It's the court system. The big problem, my thesis reason why we should not have the Trans-Pacific Partnership is simple. the U.S., will ultimately lose its sovereignty and be undermined by giving corporations the right to challenge our laws before international tribunals. Perhaps the most dangerous is the TPP's full-out assault on American sovereignty. If the past is any indication, we should be nervous. Because, as I will get to in a few seconds, we've already seen disputes being ruled in corporations' favors in international tribunals for, quote-unquote, corporate profits. Not very democratic, not very judicial. Essentially, if a law is put in place by the legislature in the United States, or if something is upheld in the United States that, quote-unquote, disrupts the profit or expected future profits, then they can be challenged in an international tribunal. And what does that mean? It means it oversteps U.S. courts, respected courts, by the way. We have some of the strongest judicial systems in the world. So does Japan. So does New Zealand. So does Canada. But these can all be washed away by an international tribunal known as the Investor-State Dispute Settlement. That's the system that's going to be set into place, the ISDS, which would be made up of members of the UN and the World Bank to form one tribune, and that would require taxpayer compensation to corporations. I mean, how outrageous is that? If you are a greedy billionaire corporate, law fucker, then you are salivating right now. But let me give you the history, right? The one that I said, if history is any indication. In 2012, we saw the greatest use of the ISDS with 58 cases. To assume that it is unlikely to see that happen again is foolish. For example, a French company sued Egypt because Egypt raised its minimum wage. Now, this is a quotation. A Swedish company got sued by Germany because Germany decided to phase out nuclear power after Japan's Fukushima Daiichi disaster. And the Dutch company that sued the Czech Republic because the Czechs didn't want to bail out a bank. And that company that the country partially owned. U.S. corporations have also gotten in on this action. Philip Morris, well, they sued. And they sued actually a couple countries. But they sued Uruguay. They sued Australia. They sued, what the hell is that poor African country's name? It was on John Oliver. For plain packaging laws intended to cut smoking rates. Why? Because it infringed on future expected profits. Ladies and gentlemen, we are totally living in a society, okay? In a society where our legislators, our democracy, our way of life, our intended way of life, is being undermined by the destruction, the self-inflicted destruction of not only our government, but the richest, most powerful people in the world. And that are undermined. We are being undermined? We are being undermined. Undermined. I think that's the word. I hope it's not like the time I said costed. Rick, help me with spelling. Is it undermined? Rick? Undermined. We are undermined? But what if it's past tense? Undermined. We are being undermined. We are being undermined. I don't know. Whatever. And I called George Bush the functionally retarded one. Apparently there is no past tense. It's the same thing. Whatever. This episode is so going to get deleted. It's just a bad day. But again, Rick says nope, so it won't. Just going to keep on rolling here. All right. Yeah, I'm stuck with this one. Anyways, what I want to get to the point here is about the TPP is that it's not... there's a difference between free trade and this bullshit. This is crony trade, not free trade. Free trade can be a beautiful thing, as Donald Trump would put it. Now, I'm not trying... I feel like I'm glorifying Donald Trump in this episode. I mean that in no way to glorify that man. Because I don't like Donald Trump. I think he's a narcissistic dickweed. But I wanted to make it very clear, he did have a point when he says that, yes, this is not free trade. We should not sign this. And it is outrageous. And I feel like the problem here is that, well, most Democrats don't realize what the president is signing over. And because we don't realize what he's signing over, well, they're going to vote for him on based off other issues. Or the fact that he's black. I think that was a big one, obviously. I think nobody wants to call it for what it is, but that might be true. Just like how people are voting for Hillary Clinton because she's a woman. I mean, I'm not bullshitting you here. There are people who are literally on record saying, I'm voting for Hillary Clinton because she's a woman. That's insane. We should not accept that. That is not okay. Because you are not voting on the issues. You are voting as an idiot. You are voting because someone's a woman? That makes no sense. Anywho, I actually wanted to talk a little bit about something that really bothered me yesterday. And this episode is going to be called In Defense of Trump. Yesterday, Donald Trump went to a rally to a Republican meeting in California. And protesters were there stating that they didn't want him to get in to speak. And they were charging barriers, and they were knocking down barriers, and they said, we're not going to let him in to speak. Now, here's the problem. While I don't like Donald Trump, by all means, speak. Because if you shut down one person's voice, well, where do you stop? That's a very slippery slope, and I hate to give that argument. But we can't silence one person, because that's not democracy. That's not America. We should not, by all means, stop somebody from speaking. That's how we get totalitarianism. That's how we lose our First Amendment. You should be... It's freedom of speech, not freedom from speech. And that is what I don't get. People at this Donald Trump rally, and I encourage you to look it up, were literally stating, we will not let Donald Trump speak. We do not want Donald Trump to speak. We're going to stand here and ensure that Donald Trump will not speak. And the problem with that is I don't agree with you. But as, what's his name, Voltaire once said, while I don't agree with you, I will fight to the death to allow you to say what you want to say. I butchered that, but that's something along those lines. And I will fight for you to say what you want to say. But the difference is I will fight against you if you want to do something that ultimately will hurt our country and our people. But to stop someone from saying something? Are you mad? That is not America. That is not our country. That is sick. Beyond sick. And if we're going to accept this new wave of liberalism, or being that, if that's what it means to be liberal now, then I am not. Or if that's what it means to be progressive, then I am not. And that's not what it's about. That's not, they are perverting what it means to be liberal just as much as Republicans these days are perverting what it meant to be a Republican. Okay? The Republican Party today is not the Republican Party. They are not Republicans. The Democrats today are just as bad as most Republicans. And these young liberal people don't appreciate this country at its entirety. That no, while we don't have to agree, we can still talk. And you say, oh, well, we need to stop him because his words are dangerous. They're words, nothing more. Get over it. See, that's the problem. We want to stop political correctness. Donald Trump won't stop shit, okay? If we want to stop political correctness and this obnoxious nagging from the left, then here's what we do. Or actually from the right as well. We say, I disagree with you. You disagree with me, but I respect you. And that, I think, is how Rick and I do it. I don't agree with Rick on much. And you could tell from the last episode, we were heated. But I respect Rick. And I respect his opinion. And I respect that there's a difference. Now, and I will fight till the death for him to say those differences. But I will fight vehemently against him if those were to be implemented. Or if that meant not implementing those, restrictions on transgender bathrooms. And that is the death of political correctness, when we can all disagree respectfully, as opposed to and shut people up. And oh my God, it is sick these days how young people, and I hate that they're from my generation, are so quick to call someone a racist or a bigot or, something of that nature, some homophobic. It's an immediate way to shut down somebody else because now they're put on the defensive of saying, I'm not a bigot, I'm not a racist, but I have a difference of opinion. If I don't believe in race-based affirmative action, in no way am I a racist. If I don't agree that, if I agree that white people should be allowed to wear dreadlocks, then I am not a cultural appropriator. This is the dumbest shit I have ever heard. People who call people bigots openly are normally the ones who don't have an argument, are using superficial emotional ideas to get their, because they have nothing better to do with their life. And that's how I feel. Cultural appropriation is the biggest sack of shit I've ever heard, right? I read an article in the New York Times. They don't want college campuses to serve sushi or ethnic food anymore because people who are not of that ethnicity are culturally appropriating because they won't make it the same way. What the fuck? I don't care if a white person makes my sushi. And did you hear how high my voice just got? I don't care. It's the dumbest shit ever. We are all the same, actually. I mean, this is coming from the same people who say, we are no different race than you. We are the same, right? If blacks and Hispanics and whites, and I hear it all the time from minorities, we are the same. We deserve the same rights. We are the same. Equality, equality. Then what is this cultural appropriation bullshit? I mean, and Rick just pointed out that my voice got higher because maybe I should change bathrooms. F you, Rick. But anyways, as this episode draws to a close, cultural appropriation is going to make up one of the future episodes. I was actually looking to get somebody who I had a very big argument with about this on the show. They, like Trump supporters, just want to call you a racist and shut you down. But that's not debate. That is not what American debate is supposed to be about. So, in the end of this very, very poorly worded episode, I'm Bryce Robbins. This is Opinion Nation. I'm the lazy motherfucker. Have a good one, everybody. Catch you next week. I'm out.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Get set.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.